Right, 12 March 2024, and today I'm going to be giving you the latest update on all the news that is happening in Zimbabwe as usual. And I want to keep this very, very short because my analytics shows me that certain lengths of video are more favorable. So between 10 minutes and 20 minutes. So let's keep it short and sweet. And today I want to look at very important developments at Sadac. And this is to do with Mnangagwa, as usual. Mnangagwa is going to become a key player in what is going to happen at Sadac, because, as you know, ED is refusing to engage with Sadac regarding the rigging, the report that said ED rigged the elections in August 2023. So the Sadac Council of Ministers met this weekend, and they've issued their communique of what was discussed at the Sadac Council of Ministers in Luanda, Angola. ZANU-PF has also issued their own statement in the Herald newspaper, and these two contradict. So there's a contradiction, because ZANU-PF is talking about sanctions and the support that Sadac is giving to Zimbabwe, but Sadac is talking about the difficulties that they are facing in terms of funding. So Sadac is struggling right now to attract funding, and as you know, Sadac is funded 60% by donors. So 60% of the budget of Sadac is through donors, and then the rest is from contributions by member countries. Currently, not all countries are contributing, and 2 countries have been sanctioned. They've been removed from Sadac. That is Comoros and Madagascar. They are not able to participate in Sadac meetings because of not paying. So what has happened is that the possible chairmanship of ED is now causing a problem. Even more funders are going to leave. So the funders that I'm talking about here is, for example, the German Development Corporation is funding Sadac. The European Union is funding Sadac. You know very well that the European Union issued a scathing report on the elections in Zimbabwe in 2023. So Sadac is going to struggle, and they've issued in their communique an appeal for member countries to ratify their funding. So it's called the Sadac funding. Let's see the exact name, what they called it here. Regional Development Fund, which has not been approved and ratified. So there's no way for Sadac to then manage its regional projects, and the guys at the secretariat are going to have a very, very hard time. The problem is, I think that the guys at the secretariat, some of them have now been compromised by ZANU-PF. The behavior of Sadac is changing slowly, and they are no longer as tough on ZANU-PF as they were before. So I suspect that some of the people there at the Sadac secretariat have now been compromised. And I want to give you the structure of Sadac. This is going to be very important, so we all have to understand what Sadac is. So the structure of Sadac, according to the online documents that I quickly got here, this is the structure of Sadac. So it's got the Summit of the Head of States, which is going to be held in Zimbabwe. You got the tribunal, I think, which was suspended. You got then member states, then national key points, standing committee, then the Council of Ministers right under the Head of States, and then you got sectorial committee ministers, sector coordinating commissions, sectorial contact points, and then the secretariat. So the secretariat, the Council of Ministers, and the Summit of the Head of States, very, very important. But currently, all this in limbo, because if Mnangagwa becomes the chairperson of Sadac, it will automatically become a crisis for Sadac, as I explained yesterday. You can go and have a look at the communique from Sadac. There is nothing on sanctions. The Zimbabwe government is lying that Sadac said there must be a removal of sanctions. There is nothing on sanctions. The problem that they have at Sadac currently is to do with funding. They cannot fund their projects anymore, and funders are even going to pull out more if they make Mnangagwa a chairperson. ED is not going to become a chairperson of Sadac. Given all the reasons I've given you, he's under investigation for the rigged elections, and also Zimbabwe is not next in line to become the chairperson of Sadac. So the next country to be in line for Sadac chairman is Seychelles. And I can assure you, come August, we're going to see ED, not the chairperson of Sadac. And also, as I said, there's gonna be a massive demonstration against ED during this time when Sadac is being held in Zimbabwe. Sadac is going to be an opportunity for a very, very big demonstration against ED, something that has got an international impact. So I hope that the guys who need to do this are organizing to make sure that ED feels the heat during Sadac summit. Now let's quickly go to the news. As I said, 10 minutes. That's how I want to do this. We're on 5 minutes now. So I can see that I lost my internet briefly there. I'm so sorry. I'm having issues with my internet this week. So if you don't see me, just know that's the case. Then we've got Sengezo Chabangu is tweeted. Sengezo Chabangu and Scott Sakupanya, they're in a partnership. So he is at Baba Foods, where our Highlanders team hosted and won a match against Dynamos. People were happy to meet their senator, torchbearer, and champion in the fight for transparency. We'll keep fighting until we attain the great Joshua Nkomo's vision. So, Sengezo Chabangu, as I said, is working with Scott Sakupanya. Scott Sakupanya is the one who funded Sengezo Chabangu's court case against Chamisa. He's also the one who was pushing all these things behind the scenes until he became an MP. And you can see what's happening. He's also now funding Highlanders. The people of Matabeleland must be very careful. These guys, Anna Scott, they are responsible for the murder and disappearance of Pastor Masai. You should never, ever, even if you are as hungry as possible, associate yourself with the blood-sucking murderers. So this is what I have to say about people who take blood money. Do not take blood money. In Highlanders right now, and Asengezo, they're taking blood money. Eventually, you see the end result of what they're doing. Now, let's go to other news. The Zimbabwe people have been getting degrees from Cyprus and India, and banned institutions include Shad University of India, General University of American University, Parole University, Near East University, the University of Kyrenia, European University of the Life Care, University of Nicosia, International Institute of Philanthropy. This is where they were getting their degree. And Mnangagwa, stolen by business people who think if they kill someone, they'll get money. They'll get a lot of money. There are two stories of this nature today, and this is very sad. It means people don't know how to run a business. And before I go there, let me go back to the India story. We employed a young lady from India with a degree here at Gambaku Media about 3 years ago. She could barely write a full sentence, like a full sentence. She could not write it. So I don't want to embarrass anyone. The guys in the Indian universities who go over there, they come up with nothing. And Zimbabweans are quite capable of running institutions, and I'm very happy with what the Zimbabwe Council for Higher Education has done. It's amazing that they've finally taken the step, because these institutions have got deals with top government officials. That's how they're able to operate in Zimbabwe. So the fact that they've managed to stop this is amazing. What is left is for the Zimbabwe government to expand the current online offering of education in Zimbabwe so that people can study remotely. So that is the way they need to go. The Zimbabwe now has a lot of universities. All you have to do is make sure that they offer online degrees. People don't have to travel because accommodation is a problem, because money is a problem. So if NAST, UZ, MSU, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly have to wrap this up because we've got actually a fiber issue. It's a fiber issue in my area. There's fiber issue here. Let me go to the next story that I wanted to give you. Who wanted to kill a child in Gweru? Yesterday, a top policeman snatched a child, and this story is in the Newsday newspaper. So there is a lot of people stealing children so that they can get these heads, and it's very, very scary who is doing this in Zimbabwe. I do not know who is in this whole business. So if you go to the Newsday newspaper, you'll see that there is a policeman here called Mekia Tanyanyo, who retired as a policeman commissioner in January 2018. He has been arrested after they stole a child together with his accomplices. And his accomplices are also written there in the article. You can go and have a look. They found a lady who was coming out of hospital, gave her a lift, and when she got to a certain place, they asked her to assist one of the passengers. When she got out to assist, they drove off with the child. And only police investigation managed to get this child back. You can go and have a look at this. The stealing of children in Zimbabwe is becoming a pandemic. There's a lot of people stealing children, and many children are disappearing, especially to do with the apostolic sects. So, so you must go and have a look at that story. And then I've given the story of Scott Sakwanya. He's now been allowed to reopen the mine at Red Wing Mine. So he's going to be able to start operating at Red Wing Mine, regardless of all the issues that were raised. It's not safe to operate a mine at Red Wing Mine. Open cast mining at the top and people going underground. At the same time, the ground is not stable. There's also the issue of pollution. There's a lot of pollution there. And I'm going to be apologizing continuously because of the internet issues. But Scott Sakwanya does not have a license from EMA. The only reason why Scott is able to operate at Red Wing is because Mnangagwa and his family have got interests in the mining taking place at Red Wing Mine. So this is going to be another disaster. We're going to talk about this again very, very soon. Another disaster is going to happen at Red Wing Mine because they've allowed him to operate without all those necessary safety safeguards being put in place. They still haven't sorted out the health and safety issues. They're just mining. And what I've told you about the business that Mnangagwa is taking place, embarking on, is that they don't scale. So he does mining, he does farming, he does all these small businesses. He's like basically a hustler. If you want to do businesses that scale in Zimbabwe, what Mnangagwa should be focusing on is making sure that the currency works. Right now, they're in roads, they're in construction, you have to work very hard. And if you work hard, your money is not going to grow. I won't be surprised if an ED are broke. They don't have money because they are focusing on the wrong kind of businesses. If they were focusing on making sure the economy works, they make sure that the banking sector works, you will see that Mnangagwa will have a lot of money. But now he doesn't have money because he's focusing on these businesses like mining gold. It's a lot of hard work to do that. So let's recap. As I said, my internet is a big problem and we're already past the 10 minutes. Sadac has issued, the Sadac Council of Ministers has issued their statement, and it is clear that they are more concerned about money. The funding is becoming an issue, and it's becoming worse because of the possibility that Mnangagwa is going to become a chairperson of Sadac. but that's not going to happen. Comoros and Madagascar on sanctions, they're not allowed to attend meetings because they haven't paid. 60% of the budget of Sadac is coming from donors who are going to flee if ever Mnangagwa is made the chairperson of Sadac. And at the same time, the Zimbabwe government is lying that Sadac said the sanctions must be removed. There was no such statement. If you look at the communique from the Sadac Council of Ministers, there's no communique on Zimbabwe sanctions. There are discussions. So there is the issue of the SEOM report. It's still on the agenda. So let's see what happens when Sadac comes to Zimbabwe. I expect the Zimbabwean guys to go out on the street and deal with Sadac once and for all. They need to make sure that there is international attention on what is happening in Zimbabwe, which is the rigging of elections and the human rights crisis. So I think this is the main story. Let's look at the comments before I close, and I apologize for my internet, my erratic internet today. This will be with me for the next few weeks because it's a cable fault. Let's look. Your internet connection. Yes, I'm so sorry. In fact, Saturday I didn't have internet at all. And then Komambire says, Tim Iri, yes, you need to be educated here. Komambire, if you want to understand what we're talking about here, you need to be extremely educated. So Gabagwe is confirming that the sanctions are not targeted against Mnangagwa after all. They are targeted against Zimbabwe and Sadac. No, Sadac is not sanctioned. All they have to do is to dissociate themselves from Mnangagwa. You see, simple. Don't make Mnangagwa your chairperson, then you will have no issues. Make Mnangagwa your chairperson, and the Sadac secretariat will be unable to pay their salaries. That is clear, because 60% of the budget is coming from European Union, from German Development Association or Corporation, and it's also coming from, I think, EU. They've got a lot of budgets from the Swedish. They are funded, those guys, and they cannot continue with what they're doing with the Zimbabwe report on SEOM. That report is clear. The Zimbabwe election did not meet 17 out of the 20 criteria on a free and fair election. So that has to be sorted. You cannot just say, we issued that report, but it doesn't matter, Mnangagwa is now chairperson. It won't work. And the people of Zimbabwe must make sure that when they come to Zimbabwe in August, there will be a lot of heat on Sadac. It should be one of the worst summits for Sadac. They should not be able to sleep or think or do anything in Zimbabwe during that period because the SEOM report is clear. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I apologize for this erratic internet. I'll be back again tomorrow morning if nothing big happens today. But if something happens, you'll see me before the end of the day. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good day to you all.